and welcome to our webinar. Thank you for joining us. This is Choosing the Right Mobile Sales App for Your Sage 100 System. My name is Paul Ziliak, co-founder of xkzero, and I'll be your host for today. So xkzero is a Chicago-based company. We're dedicated to revolutionizing the way that people work. And we believe that people perform best when they're confident, informed, and have a high level of trust in the tools they use. xkzero builds solutions that are designed for the best possible user experience, engineered in a flexible way to accommodate the needs of every company and every user. By the way, I do want to point out that we are recording this presentation today, so we will be sending you a link onto that sometime after the conclusion of the event. A little bit more about xkzero. The skill set of our team, we're ERP developers, we're mobile app developers, and we're also developers of web and web service technology. And these things really combine to make us uniquely qualified to serve the needs of the Sage community when it comes to mobile sales app. So in addition to the mobile work that we do, we're certified developers for Sage 100, for X3, for Sage 500. We're the publishers of a universal search application that we call GetX for Sage 100. And we also do technical services. We do any kind of customization, advanced SQL, advanced Crystal, scripting type work, and technology education for Sage partners and end users. We're Apple iOS developers as well. So just a little bit about the history of our company with mobile sales automation. So in 2009, we acquired a company and a technology called Route Cell Solutions, and that was for Sage 500 and Sage 100, companies that do route selling and direct store delivery. We re-engineered and rewrote that application, but it was an older technology solution. It required full Windows client, running on full SQL, on tablets or rugged laptops and so on. In 2011, we developed our xkzero web services. These are RESTful web services that allow for easy integration between mobile and web apps and the Sage ERP solutions. And then in 2011, we developed our first iOS or Apple mobile sales app. That happened to be for Sage 500, but we learned a lot about Apple development, and we learned about a lot more about what we wanted to be able to accomplish with mobile sales apps by doing that. And we also discovered that the market was going to be better for us for that in the Sage 100 market. So we left that initiative behind. But soon thereafter, in 2012, we released iSales 100, and that was the first native Apple solution for a mobile sales app, and that's built to be natively managed within Sage 100. In 2014, we released xkzero Mobile Commerce. This provides sales, delivery, and survey automation for companies who do not only mobile selling, but deliver their own products and their own vehicles. And it includes things like route management, vehicle and load scheduling, things of that nature. That's built with an open integration architecture. So while we have pre-built integrations with Sage X3 and Sage 100, we can integrate that product really with any back end. And then in 2015, just a couple of months ago, we released version 4 of iSales 100. One of the highlights of that is that we now support lot and serial number allocation for any kind of sales transaction with iSales 100. But today we're going to be focused on choosing the right mobile sales app for your business. So empowering your sales and your customer services team with mobile, the ability to work straight from your Sage system or your Sage 100 system can really have a powerful impact on your business. Not only can it help you increase revenue, but it can help you increase your bottom line by reducing labor costs, by eliminating redundant data entry. Mobile selling can provide you with a new means of intelligence gathering, making people more confident, making your customers happier. But choosing the right solution for you is the key to success. You don't want to roll out a solution that's not going to be right for your business, and not everyone's needs are the same. And so we're going to hone in on that as part of our presentation today. So, whether you're already considering Sage Mobile Sales, iSales 100, xkzero Mobile Commerce, or other Sage-centric type products, we hope that today what you'll gain will be insights that are going to help you understand better what to consider before you invest, how to compare features and benefits, what could be the best fit scenario for your company, and then also provide you with a good understanding on integration and system maintenance considerations, and then how to decide between Apple or Android products, or maybe even Microsoft products. So besides recording this, also I wanted to let you know that we're going to be sending you a free checklist that's helped to design really mostly manufacturers and distributors for end users and Sage business partners get started with mobile. And we're also going to send you a guide, a feature comparison between the three products that we're going to take a look at today. So digital natives, this is the generation that grew up surfing the web before they could read or write. This is the generation that realized that there's no need to be overheard by your parents when you're talking to your friends, right? These are the people who figured out that silent, endless texting is a much safer, quote unquote, safer means of communication, right, between young people. That's what they figured it out. It's pretty genius. Well, Forbes tells us that by the year 2020, which is coming up pretty soon, folks, that these so-called digital natives are going to make up half of the workforce, right? So these are the people who were surfing the web before they could read or write. And the tools that they're going to expect and the environments that they're going to want to work in, they're different from what most of us offer in our businesses today. In fact, unfortunately today, many of the tools that we use in the workforce are woefully behind where they could be or where they should be. And the result is some massive inefficiencies. So I'm guessing here on this webinar that, those of you might be thinking that if somebody was going to develop an integration between the fax machine and the ERP system, that they might have done that by now. That's technology. It's been around for about 30 years or so. And while it was really useful 30 years ago and the technology curve of things, it's really kind of ancient history. But what I found out, so I presented a couple of sessions at Sage Summit. And I asked at one of the sessions, I asked the audience how many people use a fax machine as part of their sales process in their business. And out of about 100 people in that audience, about half the audience raised their hand and indicate that they still use the fax machine as part of their sales process. I think that needs to change. So the way that we work and where we work is rapidly changing. Fast Company reports that 99% of executives and about 50% of full-time workers do some kind of work from home. And that's whether those companies have a work from home policy or not. So the way that we work is changing pretty quickly. And there are companies that are getting on board. And it's really important to note that with over the last several years, with all of the mobile sales automation that we've done in our business, over 90% of the systems for mobile sales that we've put in, we've been replacing what were previously paper-based processes that were inefficient, difficult, impossible to create real-time results, and fully disconnected from the ERP or the accounting system. So there's a big sea change in the way that things are happening. So, realize with all the mobile sales stuff, that there a wide range of companies now who are getting on board and replacing these disconnected and inefficient tools with the smartphone or the tablet. So here's a great example of the impact of overhauling outdated processes and what that can have on your business. So a client of ours, Raja Foods, they wish to automate reordering from their stores. So Raja is a very large distributor of Indian and Pakistani food, and they also have about 50 corporate-owned grocery stores. Well, their prior process involved paper, pencil, order forms, fax machines, And so what they would do, each store would do two reorders per week, right? So about 100 total orders per week, with each one of these orders being 100 to 200 lines per order. So this is a store representative walking the aisles, visually inspecting, making a determination of what kind of order that they had with no visibility into prior history, sales history, bin movement, things of that nature. So what they did is they automated that process, and what they provided all of their company-owned stores with were iPad minis with a scanning capability. And what they've discovered now is that those orders that could take between 1 to 2 hours per order to rekey for them, which by the way have the risk of being inaccurate, that now they're saving 100 to 200 hours per week by eliminating the clipboard, the order form, the fax machine, and so on. So, this is a pretty extreme example of that, but think about this company and their ability to redeploy 5,000 to 10,000 hours per year by just providing iPads. This was something that was implemented in a day, by the way. So the next step for Raja Foods is they also distribute to hundreds of other retailers, is a campaign to provide the same tools to their other customers to have them order from them, in the same kind of way. So, smartphone and tablets, they're proving to be more economical, a smart way to improve about any process in your business, and they're far easier to integrate into the ERP than a clipboard or the fax machine, right? You're getting the theme here. But what we're also finding is that mobile allows for a number of changes, other kinds of changes that can have a real transformative effect on the business. So, not only is it easier to integrate with the ERP, but mobile devices have unique qualities like cameras, like GPS systems, like touch screens that allow you to interact with customers and your back office in ways that your desktop PC could just never imagine. And they fit inside your pocket or your purse. So whether you want to do things like photo enablement, sharing documents, signature captures, attachments of drawings or plans or other kinds of things, geocoded activity, surveys, reports, intelligence dashboards, alerts, and push notifications, these are technologies that you can put literally in the hands and the pockets of your people. In addition to those special kind of things, what we're seeing with mobile technology is unexpected kind of benefits from behavior changes that happen just because technology is mobile. Now, this is not a client of ours, but I'm just fascinated by this story. A company called Xkzero that provides a great example of how mobile sales can not only streamline costs and redeploy labor, but they can also really inspire behavior changes that lead directly to increased revenue. So Xkzero provides ordering and payment devices at fast casual restaurants like Chili's and Pizzeria Uno, if you have those in your local market, those kinds of places. And they're designed to streamline the front of the house with the kitchen, right? But what Xkzero and their customers discovered is that not only is that process better, right, streamlining, between the front of the house and the kitchen, but what they've also found is that dessert orders have increased along the lines of 30%, appetizer orders by 20%, and even the tips are higher. So why did those kind of things happen? Well, what they suspect is that, when you have a human come to the table and ask about the appetizer or the dessert, they might be a little bit embarrassed to, say, give me that, even though I'm still going to order an entree too, that I want these other things. But when they have a delicious looking dessert, a brownie and ice cream and all of that presented to them, by this tablet, what they're finding is that those orders are becoming larger. And the tips are higher too, right? So the employees are happier. And the reason is Xkzero allows you, at the time of checkout to recommend, how much the tip would be if you tip 10% or 15% or 20% or 25% or whatever. And so because people are being suggested a tip amount, they're getting better tips. So these kind of unexpected behavior changes, they're making the business owners happier, they're making the customer's belly more full, better or worse on that one, and they're making happier employees too. So now I'm going to do a little bit of a shift here. And I know on this call that we've got a number of Sage business partners, but we also have end user customers too. So I'm not going to get too granular about the differences between accounting and ERP systems. But what I do want to point out is that in the world of mobile solutions, that we see the same kind of stratification for mobile sales apps as we do in the ERP and accounting software world. So, in the accounting software world, we'll see out-of-the-box solutions like QuickBooks that are inexpensive, that you can be quickly implemented, but they provide really very little flexibility in terms of meeting very specific and unique customer or user needs. At the other end of the spectrum, we have solutions like SAP that require enormous investment, but those can be customized and developed to meet just about any need. Much longer development cycle, longer to implement, and all of that. And those are, for much larger enterprises. We also have solutions like Plex. Plex is a manufacturer's software system, so it's designed to meet a niche market need, right? So the same kinds of users of Plex wouldn't necessarily be a QuickBooks user or an SAP user. And then kind of in the middle of all these things, we have systems like Sage 100 that have a lot of flexibility based to allow you to be able to configure to meet your very specific business rules, but can still be implemented pretty quickly without extremely large investment, and are much easier to maintain and have pretty high ease of use. So in the Sage mobile world, for Sage mobile customers, we have a range of lower cost solutions, but that are limited in terms of their flexibility and their functionality. We have industry-specific solutions that are geared toward a specific niche. We have enterprise caliber mobile systems that can do just about anything, but are more complex to implement and will require a bigger investment. And then we have configurable systems that provide flexibility to meet the unique needs of the user without any or a lot of customization. And so we'll talk a little bit more about these differences a little bit later here. So before you get down to selecting a mobile sales app that's going to be right for your business, you need to get the conversation started in your workplace in the first place. You'll want to get input from various parts of your organization. And our experience tells us that this is a pretty good profile of those companies who ultimately are going to make the transition to mobile. So typically, there's a vision for transformation. That might come from the business owner, it might come from VP of sales or just passionate users within the system, but it needs to start with a vision that things can be different for your users. So the mobile buyer is typically a company that's committed to technology, that has faith in the technology that they have. So if you're a technology doubter, if you're a technology skeptic, my guess is that to leap into a new level of technology might be a little bit harder for you because you don't have that trust level in the technology. So those who buy, they're the ones who are committed to the technology and they trust it. These are also companies who are determined to be the industry best, we find by and large, and they're companies who also indicate that they want a better experience for their employees and for their customers. Typically, these companies, money is not the object, right? Let's get this out there. Money is always an object, but it's not the driving object in the whole thing. What's driving it for them, it's creating value for the customer. It's creating value for them as the end user. So as you get that conversation going, good things for you to focus on within the business are expected benefits. Focus on those industry requirements. Think about the different user experience. Do different users or different roles within the organization have different permission, different access to information? Will they be doing different kinds of transaction, and can you control that? So you want to define a full scope of what it is that you're looking to do with mobile, but I'll say this too, don't be overwhelmed by the full scope, because mobile applications, you can do things by the spoonful. You don't have to do the whole buffet at once. You can automate one small process to build confidence that this is going to work for you in the first place. You'll definitely want to talk about how much integration you want to have with the ERP system. So then when you start evaluating systems, that's going to be one of the things that you'll look closely at is how easily is that done and how much can that accommodate your specific rules. And then look to discover those special kind of things. What can you do through push what are new kinds of things that you can do that you're not thinking of doing today, whether it's using voice technology, push notifications, signature capture, photos, all of those kinds of things. With mobile apps, you can have eyes and ears on the street if you're a business owner or operator that you could never have before without that kind of technology. And then, of course, also be aware as you get this conversation going of what's it require from an ongoing maintenance standpoint. So when you're focusing on those benefits, look, there are a lot of ways that you can benefit and help your company grow and profit, right? Acceleration of sales, delivery, cash flow, and so on. So, focus on those benefits and also brainstorm all the places that you might wish to be connected to the customer and to your inventory. And have that intelligence at your fingertips. So whether it's at a customer or a prospect location, whether it's at home or you're on vacation, special events, maybe it's a repair site or a materials yard, a service counter, anywhere where they might be, list those things out, where you would like to have access to information that might stem from your ERP system. And then, of course, the industry considerations, sales needs for mobile can vary widely. So if you're a service and repair company, your needs are going to be different from retail point of sale. If you're a showroom floor, it's going to be different from a rental type organization. Or if you do route sales or direct store delivery, those needs might be different from if you're automating and you do a lot of selling at trade shows. Another thing that you need to be aware of in selecting application is that not every company has the same needs in terms of what transactions they need to automate. So, some companies do quotes, pre-sales, order entry, route selling, delivery orders, credits, returns, exchanges, maybe transfers between vehicles. Maybe you want to track no order. That's a great piece of information, by the way, is to track every time you talk to someone where you might be getting an order that you talked with them and you didn't get an order. Wait until you see the power of having that statistic in your business. Service and repair orders are different by nature than when you're selling, an inventory product. Is it payments? Is it B2B mobile sales as an e-commerce alternative? So, even when looking at sales transaction automation, because somebody says that they do one type of transaction automation doesn't necessarily mean that they do a wide range of transactions, so look for those too. So now I'm going to do a walkthrough of a feature comparison between Sage Mobile Sales and then two different xkzero products, iSales 100 and xkzero Mobile Commerce. What I'm not going to do is stop and do a lengthy discussion of each feature difference because there are a lot of differences between the different products. But as I mentioned before, we will send you this comparison so you have the opportunity to review it for yourself. So Sage Mobile Sales, as I mentioned, most of you have probably been familiar. If you haven't heard about it from your Sage business partner, you've probably heard about it directly from Sage, but this is a product that's published by Sage themselves, allows for mobile selling in the field, and integrates with Sage 100. Well, you know what? I'll get more into that in the feature comparison. iSales 100 is a mobile sales and B2B selling solution that is specifically for Sage 100. And then xkzero Mobile Commerce does sales automation, but also route selling and direct store delivery. So we'll talk a little bit more about that when we get into the great fit type of scenarios. So let's look at some of the feature comparison. And all of the products and most of the products that you would look at will be integrating with customers and with inventory items. Also, I want to mention too, before I get into this, in terms of comparing the feature sets of all of the different sales apps that might integrate with your Sage or your Sage 100 system, I just don't have enough comprehensive information on all of those other solutions, to be able to present those. So we're doing the best we can, with our products and the Sage Mobile Sales. So Sage Mobile Sales is a multi-product solution. It integrates with Sage 100, 300, and Sage 50. I mentioned iSales 100 integrates with Sage 100 exclusively. And then xkzero Mobile Commerce has integration that's pre-built for 100 and X3. We have some limited integration with 500, but as I mentioned, with the open integration architecture, we could integrate with any other ERP as well. So the solutions here, Sage Mobile Sales supports up to 4 images. That can be a nice thing when you want to, when you're in a selling solution and you want to be able to show a product that has some visual appeal from different kinds of angles and all that, you can do that. The images for Sage Mobile Sales are managed in a middleware piece that is a management console for Sage Mobile Sales. So the items are uploaded into that, and then that's where the images are uploaded and maintained as well. iSales 100 supports images, but it just supports one image, and this is an image that you can actually link right to the item master file within Sage 100. xkzero Mobile Commerce currently does not support images specifically, but that said, with xkzero Mobile Commerce, we actually have a document sharing that would allow you to attach a file of any nature to an inventory item and more. Okay, quotes. Sage Mobile Sales and iSales do them both. xkzero Mobile Commerce, which going forward I'm going to refer to as XMC, does not. Orders and invoices are done by all 3 products. Sage Mobile Sales does not automate credits. iSales 100 and the XMC product do support credits. iSales, the xkzero products support returns. Sage Mobile Sales does not. In terms of product exchanges, an exchange would be I'm giving you I'm taking one product back from you. I'm giving you another product on the spot without creating multiple transactions. XMC does that. The other 2 products do not. Truck or warehouse transfers, that's what that is. So XMC will do a transfer from one warehouse to another. It will do a transfer from one truck to another truck. In terms of payment automation, this is really important to understand. Sage Mobile Sales automates credit cards, checks, cash, and will allow you to sell on terms. iSales 100 allows you to sell on terms, and we have built the foundation for credit card integration, but we're waiting for a new software development kit to be coming from Sage. We're a little frustrated by that because we've been waiting for some months now for that, and it's impacting our ability to do payment swipe on iSales 100 and on XMC as well. So as soon as we have that, we'll be ready to go very quickly, to turn that around. That could happen anytime, but like I say, we've been waiting on Sage for a while on that one. XMC allows for automation of check, cash, money order, and you can sell on terms as well. So a lot of the things on this slide right here, the first 3 things are really about some of the things that are very specific to XMC, and it's doing route selling and direct store delivery, the payment reconciliation, inventory checkout and check-in, inventory reconciliation reports. We don't really require those kinds of things on iSales, and Sage Mobile Sales does not do those either. All 3 products do have customer sales history at different levels in their products. The xkzero products both will allow for the allocation of lot and serial number and the management of those on virtually any kind of transaction. The Sage Mobile Sales does not. In terms of photo-enabled transactions, XMC is photo-enabled. iSales 100 is not currently photo-enabled, but we do allow the attachment of a drawing to an order or a transaction. No photo enablement, no geocoded transactions, no surveys, no document sharing for Sage Mobile Sales, where you'll notice on iSales 100, we don't geocode, we don't have the surveys, but we do share customer memos and order memos directly from Sage 100 with iSales. XMC geocodes everything, has a very robust and user-definable survey application, so you can build surveys for customers, for users, for vehicles, and so on. And then I mentioned the document sharing with XMC. It's drag and drop document sharing of images, videos, PDFs, and so on. And you can share those documents at the customer level, at the item level, at a vehicle level, at the user level. So it's a very powerful type of solution that in and of itself, if you wanted to do a mobile solution where you had access to customer information and all you wanted to do was to be able to do surveys, we can create a lot of value there with that product. XMC does asset management, it does load scheduling, it does route sales, it does direct store delivery. Sage Mobile Sales does not do those things. iSales does not do either of the first two, but they do some limited route sales and some limited direct store delivery. Sage Mobile Sales is currently, I think that's changing pretty quickly here for iPhone, but I believe that currently the Sage Mobile Sales is only a tablet solution, so there's no integration with the phone. iSales and XMC have that. Email integration comes from all three products. Calendar integration comes from the two xkzero products, and the two xkzero products are also multi-language enabled. So just change the language preferences on your phone and we can accommodate pretty much any language. So currently we have Spanish language translation that's been done, but we really can accommodate any language as long as we can find a good source for the language that you're looking for. It's very, very easily accommodated. You can get signature capture from all three. You can get barcode scanning from the two xkzero solutions. You can print and email receipts from either of the three different solutions. Now, this is kind of a big difference that we have here, and this kind of gets into, we're starting to get into more user-based definitions. So assignment of customers and inventory items. So with Sage Mobile Sales, you can assign customers and you can assign customers based on the salesperson, the primary salesperson in the customer master file. So you can restrict a mobile user based on the salesperson assignment in the customer master file. The xkzero products separate that completely. So you can build basically any rule for assignment of customers for iSales and for XMC defined by user and then dynamically managed by the system. So if you want to assign it based on a UDF, right? So a territory or something like that, by a state, by a zip code, any of those kinds of things will be accommodated. And that does not necessarily have to map at all back to the salesperson assignment in the customer master file, though we can do it that way too. So a lot of flexibility that we have in terms of building the user rules on the xkzero products. When it comes to assignment of inventory, so with Sage Mobile Sales, what you have to do is you have to upload the customers to the Sage Mobile Sales portal, and you also have to upload the inventory item to the portal. And then, but at the item level, once those items have been updated, then they're accessible by any salesperson on that's on Sage Mobile Sales. On the xkzero side, with iSales and with XMC, you can assign only the inventory items that you want to have available based on any kind of rule that you might have for the salesperson or for a role within the organization. So if there's only a certain product line, if you only have certain types of products that are can be sold for the purposes of mobile sales, then we can accommodate those kinds of things. In terms of warehouses, Sage Mobile Sales treats everything as a single warehouse. So, you can see quantities, but the quantities that you're seeing is across all warehouses. With iSales and with XMC, it's different. With iSales, I can go through and only provide access to a single or to several warehouses, by user. Similar type of thing on the XMC side of things. So we have a lot more control by warehouse with the xkzero products. Miscellaneous charges, items, and comments, right? So if you're a Sage 100 user, you have regular inventory items, you have miscellaneous charge codes, you have miscellaneous item codes, and you have comment codes. iSales supports them all. And again, that's another thing where you can define by user which types of, do you even want charges? Do you want comments? All of those kinds of things. You can define those. On XMC, you can have miscellaneous items, but we don't do comments on that. And then Sage Mobile Sales does none of them. So Sage Mobile Sales is only regular inventory items. Now, in terms of controlling transaction type, right? So on Sage Mobile Sales, once you've got a salesperson set up, they can do a quote, they can do an order, they can do an invoice. With iSales and with XMC, you can control the type of transaction that the user can do. So if a user is only allowed to enter an order, but they can't do an invoice, they can't do a credit memo, and so on, we can give that kind of permission. Next, in terms of restriction of price overrides by user, Sage Mobile Sales has a method to follow Sage 100 pricing, but does not allow for a restriction for price overrides. iSales 100 has rules built into that, as does XMC. The ability to enter a transaction on behalf of another. The xkzero products will allow you to enter a transaction and give sales credit to another person. And then here's a big one too, the ability to customize a solution. Most everything that we do with iSales is built as a configuration, so we're meeting very configurable custom needs through just check boxes and drop-down selections and things of that nature. The vast majority of any customization that we might do to iSales, we do using ProvideX, and then ProvideX, which is the software application that controls Sage 100, that pushes the rules back out to the mobile app itself. Sage Mobile Sales does not provide any customization, so it's an out-of-the-box solution that it works the way that it works. And then XMC is also a fully customizable solution. So devices and platforms. Sage Mobile Sales supports iPad, Windows 8.1 Pro, PC, and tablet. And then it's supporting the iOS 7 and iOS 8. So Sage Mobile Sales does not currently support the iPhone. iSales 100 supports Apple devices only, iOS 7 and iOS 8, iPad, iPhone, iPod Touch, and XMC supports iPad, iPhone, iPod Touch, also for iOS 7 and 8. We are under development for Android solution for XMC. I'm not sure of the release date on that, but we've made really good progress in porting that to an Android environment. In terms of data management, Sage Mobile Sales uses what's called the Sage Cloud Connector. Think of it as a middleware piece. It's a web-based piece that you log into, and you build the customer base there, you build the item base there, you set up the users there, and so on. So that's not done directly in Sage 100. It's done in this web-based Sage Cloud Connector. iSales 100 is managed natively right within the Sage 100 interface. So, that's an interface that you, if you're a Sage 100 user or consultant, you'll already be familiar with that. So you can go set up users, build all of their permission, customer assignments, inventory assignments, all of that natively right within Sage 100. And then the data management for XMC is more similar to the Sage Cloud Connector. Ours happens to be an on-premises application, which we could have hosted for you, by the way, but that's a web-based application that sits between the handheld devices and the ERP on the back end, and all of the different kind of permissions and rules that you would build for the customer and the inventory item take place in our management console, similar to the Sage. In terms of implementation between them, Sage Mobile Sales is implemented directly by Sage, and they have a fixed price for that. It's a scale, based on the numbers of companies and things of that nature, but it's a fairly nominal price. xkzero Mobile Commerce, iSales 100 is also implemented directly by xkzero. We do fixed price for that. Also a fairly nominal fee for doing that. We do offer the option for Sage Business Partners to perform setup and training for the management on the middleware piece, but we do the installation ourselves of the main components of that. And then xkzero Mobile Commerce, that's done directly by xkzero. It's a fixed price that's based on the definition of the scope for that project. When we look at software licensing, and I have another screen that'll be coming up here for pricing, but the licensing for Sage Mobile Sales, that's a monthly subscription from the get-go, and it's priced per user per company code, right? So once you your initial price, that's going to allow one user to access data for one company within your Sage 100 or 300 or Sage 50 system. The licensing model for iSales is quite a bit different. So we with iSales, we actually have an unlimited user model and an unlimited company model. So as you add users, as your company grows and you add more companies and so on, there are no incremental licensing costs for iSales 100 based on number of users or based on number of companies. What we have with iSales is we have pricing that varies by the level of functionality. We offer 3 different levels of functionality, from an inquiry only level to a transactional based level, then to every feature that we have in the system available for that. And that's sold on a perpetual license, meaning that you buy it and then you pay. It's subject to an annual maintenance and support fee. The XMC pricing is based on total project requirements. XMC is an enterprise caliber application. Not everybody would be using every piece of that, so it's a more complex sales, discovery, and qualification type of environment. We do sell it based on a perpetual license, subject to annual maintenance and support. And then in terms of pricing, I mentioned Sage Mobile Sales is sold direct, and the pricing for that, it's $19.95 for each of the first 5 users, and then a sliding scale down for that, again, based on per user, per company, per month. The pricing for iSales, we sell through Sage Partners. Our pricing starts at $49.95. That's for an inquiry-only version for unlimited users, unlimited companies. And then really the average price for the iSales solution is in the neighborhood of about $12K. XMC, xkzero Mobile Commerce, is sold through partners. We do have situations where we also sell that direct. Smaller projects can start as little as $15K, but deals for that can exceed $100,000. I mentioned earlier on that we have a product called xkzero. iSales 100 and XMC, we have a summer promotion that's going on right now that provides you with a free 1-year license of xkzero. So that's adding Google-like search into your Sage 100 system if you purchase iSales or XMC before September 30th this year, so you still have a month. Okay, so we're just getting pretty close to wrapping up here. Best fit scenarios. Sage Mobile Sales can be a great fit in a straightforward selling environment where you have no need to accommodate special requirements. I really don't quite know a better way to put that, right? So it works like it works. It's designed like it's designed. So I would encourage you to take a look at it and see if the needs that are, if the solutions that they solved, if Sage does that for you, it could be a very cost-effective way to help mobilize your sales force. iSales 100 can be a solution where you have more complex selling requirements, meaning simply that you have different users or perhaps different companies within your organization that have different needs. Not everybody has the same rules set up for them. That's why we have role maintenance within Sage 100. Well, we follow a similar type of setup for users where you only give permission to create the experience of specifically what people need. And I can't underestimate the importance of the usability for the user in terms of your ability to adapt and be successful for the long term with mobile sales. And then XMC. XMC is a fabulous fit for food and beverage companies or other types of distribution or manufacturing companies with a strong commitment to mobile technology and differentiation, especially if they're interested in information gathering through surveys, if they have their own fleets of vehicles, if they have people who are out on the street, XMC can be a great fit for them. In terms of the technical landscape, if there's one takeaway that I'd love for everybody to have from this session, it's this, that, do all of the upfront work about what's going to be the right mobile solution for you first. Define your benefits, look at, what's going to work for you, select, go through the selection process of what solutions might work for you, and then choose the smartphone technology that's going to work to support the solution that you choose. There are many companies that are limiting their search to mobile because they say, well, our team already has iPhones or our team already has Androids. And what they're doing is they're cutting out their search. They're treating here's the thing. The value of the solution is transforming the processes. The hardware is a relative commodity compared to that, right? That's a very important thing to understand. The Apple devices and the Android devices, these are high quality, reliable solutions that are scalable, they're fast. They do different things, and not every situation is going to be well served by one or the other. But the key thing is most companies that are going mobile, it's in the transformation of the process that they're gaining the real value from their business, and the hardware follows. Now, that said, be aware that if you're doing things like printing, scanning, payment capture through swipe things and all of that, Apple devices are typically easier to support because it's a far more controlled environment. Like if you see in this image that we're looking at here, the Apple devices, iOS on the left, we have far fewer devices, far fewer screen sizes that have to be managed by printers and scanners and payment swipes and all of those kinds of things. Whereas in the Android world, you've got literally hundreds of different types of hardware and a much broader stratification of operating systems being run on Android. So if you have large numbers of users and you're using those and you're connecting accessories like the card swipe, scanner, printer, and all of that, a bring your own device policy is probably not a good idea for your business. So take a good hard look at that, but find the right solution, find the right software solution, find the process transformation first, and then choose your hardware. As for Microsoft, well, we'll see what happens with them in mobile. As I've mentioned, for those of you who've heard me talk on this topic before, that the next inquiry that we get about Microsoft and mobile sales is going to be the first one. The adaptation in the marketplace among consumers and businesses with the Microsoft mobile phones has just not been there. So we're not seeing the demand for it. So few things in terms of engagement with our company xkzero. For Sage Business Partners, we can do internal trainings for your team. This type of presentation, I think, could be very useful for a lot of salespeople and consultants and so on. And I'll say this too, for those of you who are end users who are out there, if you would just to get the mobile conversation started within your company, we'd be happy to give this kind of presentation to them as well, that would not be geared around doing a product demo or anything, but would really be geared toward getting the creative juices going. So we're available for customer and prospect webinars. We're available for user conferences, blog posts, and a web presence on your site. For you Sage partners, we offer sales support and sales commissions to you as well. But for everybody who's on the call, you can go out to the Apple App Store and you can just do a little search, iSales 100. You can download that app and use a login demo and a password. And within minutes, you can be seeing what the experience might be. Keep in mind when you download that we've got that configured to work a very specific way. So if you would like to see iSales 100 work differently from the way that you see it on the device, just give us a call and we'll set up a tailored demo for you. So, all right, so I'm going to stop here. My contact information is there on the left, by the way.